Hi, this is George Alger with Our Ventura TV. For today's segment, we're going to be speaking about the Ventura Music Festival. And to discuss that topic, we have the Executive Director, Ellen Pasternack. Welcome, Ellen.
Thank you, George. I'm very happy to be here.
Well, let's get right down to it. So, I'm going to talk about the festival, of course, but I'd like to get an introduction about yourself. What is it that you do, and how is it that you got involved with the festival?
Today is the beginning of my 8th week with the Ventura Music Festival, and I come here from Santa Barbara, where I've been working in the performing arts in administration and production for about 2 decades, mostly professional theater.
Cool.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the festival itself.
Okay.
A lot of people know about it, but not everyone does. Just, can you give us a general statement of what it's about?
Sure. The Ventura Music Festival started in 1994 as a chamber music ensemble, and it has since branched out into a festival that presents both classical music and jazz. The main body of the festival is still the first 2 weeks in May, but over the years we've added a Latin jazz festival that is a concert on generally the Saturday closest to Valentine's Day. And then if there are other groups that are in the area and we would like to present them, we'll present them whenever they're in the area throughout the year.
Good. And you had mentioned the mission, and I think it's a pretty cool mission. What is the mission of the festival?
The mission of the Ventura Music Festival is to bring the best music in the world to Ventura.
Wow. Now, how do you do that? That's a pretty high mission there. What is the strategy to accomplish that?
Well, the artistic director is actually in charge of the groups that come, choosing the groups. And his name is Navi Mehta. He's based in San Diego, and he's up here a lot. But he looks at different groups throughout the year and looks at competition winners. We frequently have winners of major piano and classical guitar competitions who appear with the festival. So he always has his eye out for people that he wants to bring in coming seasons.
Okay, so is the performance side of things selected on an invitational basis, or do people sort of submit an interest?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. So let's let's find out a little bit more about the overall group. I know you had mentioned there was some educational outreach activities that occur through the festival.
Another part of the mission is the educational outreach program, and that has 2 components. There's something called What's in a Note, and Navi created that program, and he goes out to the elementary schools in Ventura County and presents to up to 250 kids in any one assembly. And he brings his violin. He is a classically trained violinist, and he sometimes brings another violinist or a pianist with him. And there are 3 different segments, so the children receive an assembly over 3 years. And one is on harmony, one is on melody, and one is on rhythm. And it's a really interactive, fun program.
You may not have insight into this, but if you do, I'd be interested in how do the kids respond to this? I think it's wonderful.
I went to my first assembly in December, and there's also a screen with projections, and Navi has some jokes, and he really gets the kids going. And then the one I went to is What is Melody? And so he had them pick notes, and they actually created a melody. So it's very interactive, they were involved, and they stayed around afterwards and begged him to play another melody on his violin. So they're very excited about it.
Wow.
It went really well. And I hear that that's typical. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
And in terms of cooperation with the schools, is this in some way designed to help the shortfall of music that's and arts in general, that the vacuum as the funds have pushed arts away in the schools? Is this sort of does it have a purpose to help fill that?
It is. The Ventura Music Festival is quite aware of the dearth of arts education in the schools. So this is one way we can help. This program is presented free to the schools, and the festival raises the money through donations to cover our costs. And it is just an assembly once a year, because that's all we can do right now. We're looking at doing more in future, but this is definitely to help make up for what the schools can't afford to do these days.
Okay. Now, from your hat as executive director, what do you sort of envision in terms of the near and the farther future of the direction you want to take things?
Well, the Ventura Music Festival is a nonprofit organization, and it has a board of directors. And so the board of directors, along with Navi and I, are actually going to be starting a strategic planning process. And through that, you create a vision for the festival, where you want to go, what kind of programs you might want to add. And so we'll be discussing that this summer. There are a few things that have already been tossed around that would be really exciting, because the festival's already gone from being just classical to being classical and jazz to having this educational component. But right now, that story isn't quite ready to tell, so
Okay.
that's for the future.
Well, then let's speak a little bit about this year's festival.
I'd love to. We just finalized it. We have 10 concerts. The first one is our Latin Jazz concert in February. That's February 16th at Ventura High School Theater. And it's going to be Tito Puente Jr. and his band, which is his father's band. Tito Puente Sr. was famous as the Mambo King. And his son is also a drummer and is working with his father's orchestra and playing his own compositions as well. So that should be a lot of fun, high energy. After that, we have Academy of St. Martin in the Fields, March 4th, also at Ventura High School. And they are the most famous chamber ensemble in history. They've been around since 1958. They're based in London. Anyone who listens to classical music on the radio will have heard them, because they're the most recorded ensemble as well. And they also are familiar to people who go to the movies, because they recorded the soundtrack for Amadeus and The English Patient and this little movie called Titanic. You may have heard of it. Yeah. So they're really well known to anyone who loves classical music. And if you don't, they are the tops. So they're appearing with two incredible soloists. Elisa Weilerstein, who's 30 years old. She's an American cellist, and she is the hottest cellist on the planet right now. She played for President Obama at the White House a couple of years ago. She was invited to do that. She's playing all over the world with different orchestras. And then Inan Barnatan, who moved to the US from Israel in 2006 and has become one of the top piano soloists in the world. So they're both appearing with the Academy, which is already well-renowned internationally. So that will be a great concert on March 4th. And then we move into the body of the festival in May, and there are 8 concerts there. And we start off with the famous Tea and Trumpets, which is an afternoon high tea with, the finger sandwiches and the scones and the pastries and tea. And that'll be in the afternoon on May 3rd. And we have a festival brass quintet that performs for that. And afternoon tea is my favorite meal in the world, so I'm definitely going to be going. I mean, I go to all of them, but I hope to be able to sit and eat for that one. I sometimes have to be moving throughout the concert. And then that evening, May 3rd, we have Eldar Jangarov, who is an amazing jazz pianist who also has the technique of a classical virtuoso. He's originally from Kyrgyzstan. And what's really interesting about this year's shows is that we have all these wunderkind, all these very young, very talented musicians who started off as child prodigies and are now moving into the adult phase of their careers, and are really the strongest. I mean, we always have strong programs, but this year is really amazing. And Eldar moved here from Kyrgyzstan with his family when he was about 10 so that he could study in the US. So that'll be really great. And then on Saturday night, we have a young man by the name of Petrit Seku, who's originally from Kosovo. And he's a classical guitarist. And last year he won the Parkening International Guitar Competition, which is the top competition for classical guitarists. So we're very excited about that. And then Sunday afternoon, we're having the legendary Count Basie Orchestra.
Wow.
And we're going to turn that into a dance party. And so, Count Basie's been famous since the 30s. So we expect to have a very diverse crowd of hipsters, old and young, for that one. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then the following Tuesday, which is May 7th, we have our Rising Stars concert. And every year we present 2 young artists, classical, usually piano and violin, and they appear as soloists. Sometimes the violinist has an accompanist. And they are just beginning their professional careers. And those aren't quite selected yet, so I can't give you names.
Okay.
But we do that every year. And that's also a way of, helping present the future artists who are just starting their professional career. And then on Thursday, we have a classical pianist who's 22, whose name is Hao Chen Zhang. He's originally from Shanghai. He started playing piano when he was 3 and made his professional debut with the Shanghai Orchestra at 5. So he's just another amazing young man. He's won a number of competitions, and the crowning competition for pianists is the Van Cliburn International competition, which is held every 2 years, and he won that in 2009. And he is just another amazing, amazing young man who has technique, and a lot of musicians these days have really prodigious amounts of technique, but he's also an artist. And his playing is really strong, and it's beautiful. It's like poetry. It's just so beautiful. And I studied piano, so I just really love listening to him. And then we have on Friday, May 10th, another version of the ever popular tea and trumpets, because we sell out every year, so we're having 2. And then on the 11th, we're closing with a pop jazz vocal sextet called Impact. And this is a bit more pop than we sometimes go. And this is 6 men who create the sound of an entire band with their voices. So there are 4 guys who are sort of vocalists. And then there's a guy who's like the beatbox guy. And then, but they sing everything from the Great American Songbook to the Beatles to Earth, Wind and Fire, and their own compositions. And that's on Saturday the 11th.
Wow.
So it should be an amazing concert with a great amount of variety, something for everyone, and all wonderful shows. So I'm really excited. This is my first year producing this, so
Nice.
yeah, a lot of fun.
Well, the festival, the Ventura Music Festival, it's a cultural highlight for the year here in Ventura.
Mm-hmm.
I've never thought of, though, how far people actually come, because with the, with the talent that you're actually mentioning, I'm sure folks would come from a pretty far away. Do you have any insight into that?
Well, it's like concentric circles. The further out you go, the fewer people you have. But we have people come from LA and Santa Barbara and Orange County on occasion.
Okay.
Yeah. But generally from Ventura County.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Well, Ellen, we're just about out of time here. So I guess if I could get 2 more things here before we wrap up, it'd be good. One, is there any kind of summating statement you'd like to conclude with? And 2, the website, so people could go to
Definitely.
get more information.
Yeah. The main mission of the Ventura Music Festival is to bring the best music in the world to Ventura. And we try very hard to do that. And thank you for having me on so that we can get the word out, so that people know. And if you ever want to find out more, you can go to our website, which is www.venturamusicfestival.org. And Ventura Music Festival's all one word.
Great. All right, Ellen, well, thank you kindly for coming on our show.
Thank you very much for having me.
This is George Alger signing off for this segment of Our Ventura TV. Until we see you again.